If you're in your business school, do not waste your money on getting a degree. You do not need it. What's good, YouTube? I hope you guys are doing well. Today's video is going to be a fun one because today we're going to be talking about business. So in this video, I'm going to be very real with you guys, and I'm going to be ranking the business majors in order of what I think is the most worth it to what I think is not so much worth it. And of course, this is based on research, but it's also based on my opinion. If you guys don't already know me, I was a business major in college. I majored in marketing, and I also had lots of friends who majored in other areas as well. So I feel like my opinion is also based off of like where we all kind of ended up after college. And of course, if I forgot your major, if there's something else that you guys are interested in that you guys want my opinion on, leave them in the comments down below. I can definitely get to you guys. I feel like the point of these videos is to start a conversation. So if you guys don't agree with my list, it's totally okay. That being said, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. If you guys aren't already subscribed, make sure you guys subscribe to my channel. I have new videos coming out every Sunday and every Wednesday, and we're almost at 10K. So I feel like if we get there before the end of the year, I'm going to scream. So let's go ahead and jump into the video. So the first business degree on my list, and the one that I think is the most worth it, are actually two of them, and they are finance and accounting. And if you guys know anything about finance and accounting, then you guys know those are pretty much the most typical business majors that people get, just because they are both very specialized fields within the business major. And I put these at the top of my list because finance and accounting are two skills that are always going to exist. They're very, very marketable degrees, and they're also, again, very, very specialized, right? So in order to practice accounting, you're probably gonna need an accounting degree. And also in order to practice finance, a lot of companies want to see a finance degree on your resume. So I think that both of these business degrees are both very much worth it because they're always going to be in demand, and also they pay pretty well. So obviously starting out, you know, your entry level salary may not be the greatest, but if you take a few years working in one of these fields, you're probably gonna end up with a really, really good pay. One thing I will say about accounting though, and also kind of finance, both of these are kind of becoming automated. So do keep in mind the fact that like a lot of companies are looking to replace workers in these fields with like computers, right? So you have to keep in mind that like although these skills are always going to be important, you have to stay on your toes in order to stay relevant in these fields. I definitely suggest if you guys get hired at a company doing like accounting or finance, that you guys stick with it and you guys really try your best to climb the ranks so that you don't end up being replaceable like by a computer, you know what I mean? So yeah, keep that in mind. But I will say at the end of the day, accounting and finance are both really, really, really great business majors because again, you're not going to have any issue finding a job basically. The second one on my list is going to be MIS, which is Management Information Systems. And I know a lot of you guys have asked me about this major, and I definitely put this towards the top of my list as one of the best business degrees that you can get. And the reason why is pretty obvious, right? Because when you think about the best degrees that you can get going to college in general, they are usually gonna be business and technical degrees, right? So when you combine those two together, you get MIS. And obviously that's gonna be a very, very valuable degree because that's gonna be really, really high in demand, right? Like companies love seeing that someone has both business skills but also technical skills because they need that. Most companies are trying to become more automated, more technical, right? So if you have those skills that you can help them, that you can bring to them, you're gonna be very, very marketable. And I honestly don't think you're gonna have any trouble finding a job. And the cool thing about MIS is you can do a lot with it. Like I will say there are people in my company right now who do marketing who have MIS majors. So there's a lot of flexibility on what job you can get. I know at my school, the MIS majors learned a lot of coding skills, programming skills. Again, these are all skills that are gonna be very, very valuable. If you have these skills, you're gonna be a really, really good job candidate at the end of the day. And I will say, honestly, I kind of had considered MIS when I was in school, and I kind of wish that I took it just because you guys know I'm into entrepreneurship, and like for starting your own business, being an MIS major is very, very valuable because if you have programming or coding skills, you're a lot further ahead when it comes to entrepreneurship because you can start something, like you can start a tech business with those skills, right? So I will say if you're really interested in starting your own business, MIS is really, really great as well. It's just an overall well-rounded degree that you can do a lot with. The next business degree on my list is going to be supply chain management, and this is number 3 on my list because it's honestly such a good field to go into. I honestly don't think if you go into supply chain management that you'll ever have issues finding a job because most companies are going to need someone who's an expert in that field. If you don't know what supply chain management is, it's basically someone who is an expert in doing the logistics, the movement of inventory, just the overall management of inventory and goods and services in a company, right? So when you think about someone like Amazon, the fact that like your packages, right, from Amazon Prime get to you within 2 to 3 days is because Amazon has such a good supply chain management system, right? So most companies are looking to do something very similar where they can automate their processes, where they can really effectively manage how they move like logistically. So if you're at all interested in doing that, I definitely think that's a really great major to go into, because again, all companies need that right now as they're competing against each other, right? So the job security and the overall pay in that field is probably going to be very good. The next business degree on my list is going to be international business. If you're at all interested in the idea of international business, you're honestly probably going to do really well, and you're probably not going to have too hard of a time finding a job. And the reason why is because obviously most businesses nowadays are going global. Most businesses do like business around the world, right? So international business is a really great field to go into. I will say international business, I'm just gonna call IB because it's really hard to say the whole thing. IB is a really good field to go into if you want to double major or if you want to do IB as a minor paired with something else. I have seen a lot of people at my school do international business with another like language. Like if you have like an area around like somewhere in the world that you want to specialize in, pairing IB with the language is always a really great idea, especially doing like Mandarin, like if you want to learn Chinese. Obviously, because China is like a huge player like in the world of business right now, knowing the language would be really helpful, right? So if you pair IB either with another language or with like finance or something else like in the business world, is going to make you a super marketable candidate when you're applying for companies. I definitely considered doing a double major of marketing and IB, but I honestly will say you can pretty much go into any field with an international business degree. So if you want to do something a little bit more specialized, I do suggest going the more specialized route. But if you guys want to have a well-rounded degree that gives you flexibility, then IB is a really good one, especially again if you're interested in global affairs, globalization, things like that. The next degree on this list is going to be marketing, and I rank this one as number 5 because, as you guys know, I graduated with a marketing degree. I have a lot of opinions on marketing. I actually just filmed an entire video on it. If you guys want to go watch that, I'll link it down below. Marketing is kind of in the middle of my list because at the end of the day, like marketing, you can do really well in, you can get a good job in, you can get paid really well, but it really does depend on the industry that you work in. So like if you want to go work in the tech industry and you want to do marketing there, you're going to get paid pretty well. But there's other industries where coming out of college especially, you're not going to get paid as well. It's important to consider that when you go into marketing because a lot of people are really interested in it, and it's definitely a very interesting major to get into, but sometimes it's not always worth it. And a lot of times when people major in marketing, they end up going into something else like sales or advertising or something else. So really think about, is marketing what you want to do? And also go watch my video and really figure out what industry you want to get into and things like that, because it's really important to think about, especially if you're taking out student loan debt. And at the end of the day, like there's always going to be marketing jobs available, right? Like across every single industry, people do need marketers. But I will say a lot of people who work in marketing don't actually have a marketing degree. So a lot of people that I know who I work with do not have degrees in marketing. They have degrees in more specialized areas, and then they ended up in marketing. So I will say, like for me, especially at my school, a marketing degree, like what I learned in the classroom did not teach me what I needed to know about marketing. So you could really major in something else and specialize in something else and then learn the marketing skills later when you get out of college, you know what I'm saying? So I will say that it's kind of in the middle for me because again, like I think learning about marketing was helpful, but it also wasn't that relevant to what I do now. So I don't know. That's my opinion on marketing. Again, I could talk about marketing for hours, so go watch that video that I'll link down below if you guys want to learn more about that. So the next business degree on my list, and the one that is number 6, is going to be management. And I put management as number 6 on my list because management is a pretty general field that you can go into. And I know a lot of people are really interested in doing it because they feel like it's really general general and they feel like, oh, I can get into like a lot of different things with a management degree. But I will say, because management is so general, because it's so broad, it can also hurt you because it is a little bit more important, I think personally, when you're doing business, to specialize in a certain field, right? So maybe you want to specialize in accounting, or maybe you want to specialize in finance, and then you end up learning the management skills as you work in your field. But management is more of a broad thing that you could really learn outside the classroom. So management is great and it can be marketable and you can get a good job with it because it shows that you know how to manage people and you know how to be a leader and things like that, which is great. And of course, all companies need managers. If you do end up being a manager and you do end up working your way up at a company and leading people, you can get paid very, very well. You can, have really, really good job security, but it is going to take time, especially coming out of college, to build your way up, because a lot of times coming out of college, you might not be managing people off the jump, especially if you go straight into working for a corporate company. But if you're kind of more interested in like doing management for like a retail company or like a smaller company, you can definitely do that as well. So there's a lot of opportunities with management, but just keep in mind that it may be better to specialize in something else.
Life and business are about human connections. And computers are about trying to murder you in a lake.
And that kind of actually leads me into my next degree that's on my list, which is business administration. This one is number 7 because, again, it's very, very general. Business administration is probably the most general that you can get. It's kind of like a jack of all trades kind of major, which to me, in my opinion, and I think a lot of employers probably feel this way too, it's not really showing that you know a lot about one thing. It's kind of more, again, like a jack of all trades type of major. So it's better to just specialize in something rather than wasting your money on a degree that kind of just shows that you just know about general business. I will say it is great if you kind of don't know what you want to do yet, if you want to experiment and do different things, but I will say that you could like specialize in MIS, or you could specialize in accounting and go into a different field. You'll kind of have more of a leg up than if you just specialize in just business in general, because at least you'll have a really, really good backup. So that's kind of my opinion. I don't know. There's like a lot of different opinions about business administration overall, but that's kind of how I look at it. So the next business degree on my list is going to be HR, which is human resources. And the reason why I put this one as number 8 on my list is because honestly, I do not think that HR is worth getting a degree on. And it's funny because if you guys watch my video on the top 10 jobs that you should get as a business major, I actually put HR pretty high on that list. But I will say that like to be an HR manager, you don't need an HR degree, right? A lot of people go into HR and have degrees in other things. So if you're considering doing HR, that's awesome. Like if you know that's like what you really 100% want to do, great. Then I would say major in HR. But I will say you could really specialize in something else that's a little bit more better, you know what I'm saying? And then you could go into HR regardless. Whereas if you want to do like finance or accounting, right, you can't really just get an HR degree and expect to get hired in that field. So I would rather you guys major in something that's a little bit more specialized, it's a little bit more up there, and then go into HR if it's what you really end up wanting to do, rather than doing it the other way around.
You still can't make fun of people for race or gender or sexual orientation or religion.
Who let the lemon head into the room? You are a waste of life and you should give up. Is what I want to say, but I won't, because that is why we are doing this right now. So Toby, welcome to sensitivity training for real.
I've also seen people who go into HR who don't even have business degrees, right? So people go into HR with psychology degrees, with like human behavior specialist, whatever degrees. Like you don't even have to really have a business degree to go into HR. So I would say if you got into your business school at your college, don't waste it on getting an HR degree. I just don't think it's worth it. It's kind of the same thing with like business administration and management. They're just so general that you might as well specialize in something more specific. So finally, the very last degree on my list, and the one that I think is the least worth getting a degree on, is going to be entrepreneurship. And I know you guys are probably like, Lynette, I thought you liked entrepreneurship. I thought you were into starting businesses. Like, I don't get why. You do not need an entrepreneurship degree to learn how to start your own business. So if you're in school, if you're in your business school, do not waste your money on getting an entrepreneurship degree. You do not need it. I've said this before a million times on my channel. The best way, and really the only way that you're gonna learn how to start a business, is by doing it. You're not going to learn it in a classroom, so there's really no point in going out, especially if you're taking out student loans, there's really no point in getting an entrepreneurship degree when really the skills that you need to like learn how to start a business are gonna be through yourself, right? There's tons of ways that you can learn online, and learn from other people through networking, through apprenticeships, through just shadowing people, or even going to work for other startups that are gonna be a lot more helpful than getting an entrepreneurship degree. So I could probably talk about this for hours. I do have a whole video on why I do not think the entrepreneurship major is worth it. So if you guys wanna go watch that, I'll leave it in the link down below. But yeah, that's why that is very last on my list. So that was a lot that I just went through. I think I just listed 9 business degrees. I know there's probably tons more out there depending on what school you go to. I know a lot of different schools offer different things. So if I missed your major, if I missed the degree that you're interested in, definitely let me know in the comments down below and we can all have a conversation. I will say that, again, this is definitely just my opinions. Make sure you guys follow your passion at the end of the day. I'm just a stranger on the internet, so do not take my opinion and run with it. You guys have a lot more knowledge on who you are as a person and what's gonna work for you than I do. Really do what's best for you at the end of the day, because that's really what matters. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you guys give it a thumbs up, and of course make sure you guys subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.